Hi, my name is Larry Rybacki, President of Sigma Corporation, and this is part of the Larry at Large podcast series. And today, I'm honored to interview Walter Lynch, the President and CEO of American Water. Walter is a graduate of the Military Academy in West Point. And Walter, before we start, I want to thank you for your service to this country.
Larry, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. People have heard, everybody knows of American Water, and but they really don't know the size and scope unless they're a shareholder. And I think for our audience, I'd like to know, how many states are you in, and what types of services do you provide?
Okay, well, let me give you an overview of American Water, Larry. Thanks. Thanks for the question. We're the largest publicly traded water and wastewater company in the United States, and we have 7,000 employees who provide service on a regulated basis where we own the assets and operate the assets in a market-based business, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, and other related services to about 15 million people in 46 states, so we span across the United States. Our regulated business is really the backbone of our business. We operate in 16 states and 1,600 communities, and we serve a population of about 12 million people. We own a lot of assets. This is a big business. We've been in business since 1886. We have about 600 water treatment plants, about 130 different wastewater treatment plants, more than 53,000 miles of pipes across our system, and 80 dams, among many other. So a big, heavily invested infrastructure for American Water. We treat and deliver more than 1 billion gallons of water every day for our customers. And we continue to invest in our infrastructure, and we continue to provide solutions for communities that are in need of solutions in both their water and wastewater systems. We're also extremely proud to provide service for 17 military installations across the United States. We serve about 425,000 men, women, and their families in the military. And again, we could not be more proud to provide that service. And we also have a warranty service for primarily water and sewer lines on people's properties that we don't own, that they own, and homeowner services their homeowner insurance doesn't cover. So that's broadly our business. Again, we're the largest company in the country, and we provide service in both a regulated and a market-based business.
Oh, that's wonderful. Is your target, Walter, is municipalities with 5,000 or more services, or is it smaller than that?
Well, we say we have a target of 5 to 50,000 customers, yet we do complete a lot of smaller acquisitions because they need our services. We can tie them right into what we do, and we can provide a lot of value for those communities. So we really will look at the smaller communities, but our real sweet spot is 5 to about 50,000 customers. Yet we'll look at bigger customers if we can add value for them, and that's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about. Walter, obviously this has been a crazy year and a half for all of us with COVID. How has that affected your operations on an everyday basis? How has it affected American Water, and are you coming out of it right now?
Yeah, it's been amazing what this country and the world has been through over the last year or so. And I began as CEO and president back right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it was great timing for me. But it was a wonderful experience in that it brought our team together to really focus on priorities. And I've always said that during a crisis or any kind of pandemic like this, establishing clear priorities is so important because that's really how you make your decisions around those priorities. So we established 3 priorities: the care and safety of our employees and their families, the safety of our communities and the customers that we serve, and the third was to make sure that we're providing essential services across the country for the communities that rely on us every day. And those were the 3 priorities. Every decision we made was focused on those 3 priorities. And I'm really thrilled to say that we haven't had one employee contract COVID on the job.
Really?
Because of the safety protocols that we put in place right from the beginning.
That is extremely impressive. I'd like to think.
Yeah, we changed the way we did. We changed the way we provided service. We made sure that we limited contact with customers. We focused on personal protective equipment and really increased hygiene everywhere we operated. We had to still come in. We had about 4,000 employees that were coming to work every day to provide the essential services, but we had to do that in a way that was safe for them and safe for our customers. Again, that's probably my biggest accomplishment. Our biggest accomplishment was having that safety record and continued safety record of no one contracting COVID on the job.
Congrats. Are you back in New Jersey? Is everybody back in the office or not yet?
Not yet. Not yet. We're phasing it in. We're starting actually in a couple weeks, or in about a month, and we're going to start phasing in with volunteers. And we expect to be fully back in the office at the beginning of 2022.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific. Moving into these essential services, the prevalence of aging infrastructure, and I'm from Massachusetts, so I know about aging infrastructure. How is this affecting people on an everyday basis, the aging infrastructure?
Well, let me take you through the challenges in our industry first, just to lay the groundwork for some of the challenges I think we're all facing. But, it's an urgent need to invest in the water and wastewater infrastructure in the United States. We have, on the water side, 1 million miles of pipes across the United States, and we experience a major main break every 2 minutes. We lose about 20% of all treated water, and that's through 240,000 main breaks across the United States, not just within our systems as a subset, but across the United States. And really, it's at a cost of $2.6 billion a year. So substantial loss of water because of the situation with the pipes. On the wastewater side, 800,000 miles of collection pipes, and they were put in years ago. They're in dire need of replacement. They pose a real challenge to groundwater, and about 900 billion gallons of untreated sewage every year are discharged in our rivers and streams. So think about that. That's just amazing. So we have a lot of work to do as an industry. If you think about the pipes, 45% of all pipes right now are classified as poor, very poor life elapsed, and that's up from just 10% in 1980. So it just shows the lack of investment in our infrastructure over the last 4 decades, just tremendous. And, every so often the American Society of Civil Engineers does a survey. They just did one in 2021, and the water and wastewater infrastructure came out with a C- and D+ in the water and wastewater. And those are the worst grades of any infrastructure in the United States. So again, tremendous needs, and it's really having an impact on a lot of communities. You think about how many cities have major main breaks that really disrupt operations in the cities and people's daily lives. How many cities and counties and states are facing water supply challenges, particularly out in California and some of the places where they haven't prepared for the increased growth and some of the challenges with climate variability. So those are the things that are really challenging our industry. We're going to continue to invest. I know there's a big focus in the administration, but I'm glad it's getting the attention that it deserves in our country.
Well, I'm glad it is too. But Democrats and Republicans can't seem to agree on what the color of the sun is. I'm hoping they can get this infrastructure bill passed, and I'm hoping that water is a decent part of it. Do you think the first go around, I think it was 111 billion earmarked for water?
Right.
Is that just a drop in a bucket, or does that go a long way for us?
Yeah, it's going to go a long way because again, it's an emphasis on the infrastructure that hasn't been there before. So any amount will help, but it's just going to be a drop in the bucket from an overall perspective because we're looking at more than $1 trillion is going to be needed over the next 20 years to upgrade our water and wastewater infrastructure. So while it's a move in the right direction, there's still substantial work that needs to be done across the country. And that's where we're trying to play a role in helping communities that maybe don't have the access to capital, that don't have the the expertise to really expand their systems or to address some of the challenges within their systems. And that's why we continue to acquire systems. We've done since 2015 over 100 acquisitions. We've added more than 210,000 customer connections because there are a lot of communities that need a lot of help, and they're finding it very difficult to address their issues on their own. For us, we can invest in the infrastructure, and because we have a big customer base in many of the states where we operate, we can share those costs across a bigger customer base, minimize the customer bill impact that they couldn't do on their own. So that's some of the benefits that we bring to it, but there's still a lot of work to get done across the country.
Well said. I have to ask, how did a military guy from Scranton, Pennsylvania, get into the water business? You went to West Point, served, and then how'd you end up in the water business?
Well, after my 5 years in the service, I came out and I worked for an oil company for 3 years, and then I went into business with a friend in the solid waste business. After we sold the business, I went to work in the water and wastewater industry. So it was about 25 years ago that I entered the industry. I just found that the passion for this business and the purpose. I mean, what's more important than providing water and wastewater services for customers and their families? So that's really where the passion was. But I got into American Water because my company, I was working in Houston for a water company, was acquired by American Water 20 years ago. and I worked my way through the organization. Again, I just love this business. I love the people that it attracts because of the passion for what we do. And I'm just thrilled to be with American Water and in this
That's
industry.
terrific. Walter, 44 years from me last week in the water industry. Imagine that.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
there.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Are there things you learned in the military, we're talking about leadership and things like that, that you can apply to the corporate world? Obviously, you've done a great job to be in the position you're in, but what did you learn in the military that you took with you to the corporate world?
Well, a lot, I can tell you. My 4 years at West Point and 5 years in the service, I just learned a lot about leadership, about teamwork, about building trust, putting a team together where you have common goals and you work together to achieve those common goals, and always demonstrating personal integrity. And they play well in the corporate world, as you know. And it's also about, and I learned a great deal about this in the military, the value of inclusion and diversity, and making sure that you have people on your team that are coming at decisions and issues from different angles, and you close the gap in your thinking really by having people with different perspectives. I saw that in the military. The military is probably the most diverse organization in the world. Having that diversity on a team to make sure that you have all the information when you're making a decision is so vitally important. And I think that was one of the key things I learned as well, making sure your team reflects the communities you serve so you're making the best possible decisions.
I can appreciate that.
Just as an example, I tell you, we had a conversation with Magic Johnson about a month and a half ago on a podcast, and it was really around inclusion and diversity and allyship. And I learned a great deal about how he became successful. One of the things he said, he would not be successful if he didn't have mentors and allies that would help him and support him and guide him. When he came out of the basketball world, he had no corporate experience, and he was able to leverage, just those relationships and that mentorship to guide him and help him. And that's what we're trying to do at American Water, too. We have a big allyship program here where we can help people see things differently, be a mentor to them, and give them some guidance about where they want to go in their careers. So that was really important. I'll tell you, it was one of the best 45-minute podcasts. I just loved talking with him and learning from him and our whole company. We had 3,000 employees that were listening, and it was just a fabulous
Amazing
event.
guy, isn't he? He's an amazing guy. Very successful.
Amazing guy.
What advice
Absolutely.
would you give to a 23-year-old Walter Lynch or a 22 or 23-year-old kid coming out of school today? What advice would you give to them to go out in the industry today?
Well, I'd say find where your passion is. Make sure that you recognize that it's not about you, it's about your team, it's about the company. Broaden your perspective. Just don't go in the industry and do one job. Go in there, take on different challenges, broaden your perspective. So as you increase in an organization, you elevate, that you're making the right decisions because you have the right perspective. And I'd say also always respect the work of the people in the field, because without them, you're not going to go anywhere and you're not going to perform, at your highest level as a company. So you've got to respect the tough work they do every day. They're the front line of your business, and get out and spend time so you learn the business and you understand just how important their jobs are. But I'd say, and one other thing that I mentioned already, find a mentor, somebody that can help you, somebody that's been in the industry a long time to give you different perspectives and give some guidance about what's important to you and how do you achieve that. Those are some of the things that I'd suggest to somebody entering the industry now. But also, always remember how important your job is. There's nothing more important. We always talk in American Water about purpose-driven. There's nothing more purpose-driven than providing water and wastewater services to customers and their families. So take great pride in it. Do the best job you can. Go out and get a broad exposure in different jobs within the industry so you can be the best possible leader as
We
you
are
elevate the
blessed to
company.
be in an essential business like the water industry, I'll tell you that. Both of us and our companies,
We are.
we're blessed, all of us, that's for sure. And in conclusion, Walter, although you seem like a
Absolutely.
nice guy, I'll never forgive your Eagles for beating my Patriots in the Super Bowl, that's for sure. Never.
Yeah, we have one. You have many more, so I don't feel sorry for you.
It was great talking to you today. Thank you for your time, and best of luck to American Water. And I know you guys are going to be a success for years to come. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Larry. I really appreciate it. Really great getting to know you, and thanks for your questions.
Thank you,
and
Walter.
thanks for the
Very good.
opportunity.